Just checking the incubator today, and look at this. We've got baby fire skinks hatching out. Yay, that's beautiful. We're gonna catch up with them in a second. Let's go. Boy, have I got a surprise. I know you seen the clip in the beginning. We got babies. I couldn't be more excited. I love when new babies show up. These are captive bred. Their parents are also captive bred, so we got some CBB babies, a very nice, healthy line. I have multiple pairs, and I'm not gonna talk about what we're doing with the adults. We're gonna just talk about real quickly what we're doing with the babies. I wanted to update y'all on how I've been keeping them, the incubating process, the feeding process, because there's a little bit that I've learned over time. Just a couple things on the baby fire skinks. We're doing pretty well. I've been breeding them for a couple years. If you're really observant, you've seen in the last video, those baby fire skinks were older than these baby fire skinks. I've got a lot going on with the baby fire skinks now. Pay attention, stay tuned, and we're gonna get right into it. In a lot of cases, people will create sterile environments for babies, like your baby crested geckos, your baby leopard geckos, things like that. You'll put them in a plastic bin with paper towels on the bottom, things like that to kind of keep them more sterile. Now, with my fire skinks, I do not do that. As soon as they're born, they go right into a bioactive environment, right into it. They learn how to dig instantly. They're learning how to hunt day one. They're learning how to climb. They're learning everything they need in the first week. So not to say that you have to do it like that, but that's how I do it, and it's been working for years. My animals are very strong, they're healthy, they're very strong. I pick up fire skinks all the time from people for my breeding projects, and some of my babies are in better health and have more weight than some of the yearlings that I see. You could try to keep them sterile, but these animals, they love to dig, they love to burrow in the substrate. So I just give it to them, give them substrate right out the gate, right? Now, as far as heating and lighting goes, I found a couple things to work. Later on in the channel, in the channel's life cycle, you will see how I keep different breeding pairs of red or African fire skinks, right? But I've had success multiple different ways. The over the tank heat doesn't really matter too much, because once again, they stay burrowed in the substrate 90% of the day. They come out to eat and to make sure you're not around. That's it. Give them under tank heat, whether that be thermal heat tape or a heat pad. Just give them some type of under tank heat. There's many different ways to acquire the heat. Like I said, I just use under tank heat. It works. It works really well, and they love it. So that's what I'm doing on this side. As far as feeding goes, when I first bred African fire skinks, I was giving them pinheads right out day one, and still sometimes, like some of the babies, I'll still give them pinheads if they look kind of small. But the fire skinks hatch out at a size they're able to eat 1/4 inch crickets. Once again, day one, they're able to eat 1/4 inch crickets. So if you can't get your hands on pinhead crickets, it's not that big of a deal. See if you can get some 1/4 inch crickets, and you can just start there and move them up, and they'll take off fast. So that's what I've been feeding them, and I'll feed them 1/4 inch crickets and small mealworms, and I'll leave them on that diet for months. They'll be like, that diet, it stays like that for like 1 or 2 months, maybe about 2 to 3 months even. And then at the 3-month cycle, that's when I start bumping them up to bigger prey items, maybe even bigger crickets, super worms, depending on the size. They might be able to take on super worms at 3 months. I spray them down, mist them down every day. The top of the substrate doesn't matter so much, but you want there to be some type of moisture inside where they're burrowing, because they spend a lot of time in the substrate. I'll make sure to mist them at least twice a day. Just keep them misted. If you have automatic mister, that'd be cool. Get you a Mist King, let it go. But you don't really need all that. Just mist them twice a day and make sure there's some type of moisture in their substrate, and they should be okay. Also, as these babies hatch out, they hatch out the eggs together in groups. So I keep them together in groups to give them a lot of space. You see over here, this is one of my grow out tanks right there. I don't know what's the date, April 18th right there, right? They're about to be separated. I keep the babies together in the same group that they hatched out in up to about a year. And then at about year 1 is when we start separating them. Also, when you're keeping fire skinks and if you're keeping them together, I wouldn't recommend that you just grab 2 different fire skinks and put them together, right? Unless you're trying to breed, that's exactly how you do it. But if you have babies and you keep them together, like I do, you just keep an eye on them. You watch them. You come in here every day. You check their tails. You check their scales. You check everything just to make sure they're not picking on each other. Make sure there's food always in that enclosure. There always has to be food in there for them. I've never had any issues with fire skinks picking on each other. When it comes to pairings, I've had multiple issues, but with the babies, years. I've never had issues with them fighting or anything like that. But just keep an eye on that because you never know what can happen. These animals have their own personalities. Let's talk tank size. 10 gallon, 20 gallon, 30. It really doesn't matter. These animals hatch out at about 2 inches long, 1.5 inches long. So whatever you're keeping them in, just make sure they have enough space. I have put baby fire skinks into 40 gallon breeders. Just boom, there you go. That's where you're gonna grow out. But you don't have to do that. You can get a 10 gallon tank, 20 gallon tank, slap some under tank heat on there, just a little light on the top just to let them know when it's daytime, and it's okay. Like, that's fine, it's perfectly fine. As they grow, they're gonna need more space. You know, these animals get quite big, 12, 13, 14 inches long, they get big. So as they grow, they're gonna need space. That's why I just recommend just going ahead and throw them in a pretty big tank. The only problem with that is you may have problems finding them because they're small. So don't heavily decorate it. You know, like I had a 40 gallon breeder actually, and in the beginning it had 2 logs in it. That was it. And as they grew, I started to add more and more items because in the beginning it was just very, very hard to find 2-inch animals in a big 40 gallon tank. So, but that's where I wanted to grow. I wanted them to grow up in there. And so it's okay if you have just a 10 gallon tank, slap some under tank heat on there, get you a little lamp, and you'll be fine. But if you have a bigger tank, that's also okay. It doesn't stress them out. They don't know any better. In fact, I think they do better with more space. So give them as much space as you can. They'll love it. I promise you.